Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today, we're discussing the Grand Seiko Tough Quartz, the anti-magnetic SBGX341. This model was created primarily for the Japanese domestic market, but through a US-based Grand Seiko club and a couple of US-based boutiques. A few of these have found their way stateside. So the watch is impressive. A combination of a Grand Seiko and maybe a white dial Rolex Milgauss thrown in there. It's a lovely combination, a medley, if you will, of Grand Seiko and watchmaking generally's greatest hits in the engineer's watch genre. So 40 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. It's 12.1 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, if we're just measuring the case, it's 45.5 millimeters. It is 49.1 millimeters from end link to end link. That's the total distance across the wrist. Again, 12.1 millimeters thick. 20 millimeters is the spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist. And you can see that the watch has a lot of presence. It's not huge, and it's definitely not thick, but the combination of the orange black and the matte white on the dial gives it a distinctive aesthetic shared with few others. You can also see that although the lug-to-lug spacing is fairly short, the end links do stand out proud of the lugs. So I'd recommend this watch for a wrist of 14 centimeters circumference or up. Again, my wrist is 16, and you can see this will fit underneath a dress cuff. So if you want to wear your SBGX341 as a dress watch, no one's going to complain. It'll slide under a cuff with wonderful formal attire manners. Now we have a 3-link bracelet here. You can see staggered link size and staggered link alignment. There's a conforming end piece. The outer faces are polished. The bevels are rolled on the side with polish. We have removable links fixed by screws, and you can see we have 2 intermediate sized links in case you're in between sizes. Those little intermediates are there for fine sizing. A thick gauge steel single folds deployant. This closes, and then we have a twin trigger release. You can see that the buckle has a combination of media blasting internally, then polishing, then satination around the logo. Rolling over to the case, you can see it's got a polyhedron case in the tradition of designs like the 62GS and the 44GS. We have a number of different facets at the lug profile, and then the mid case is satinated. You can see that we have this expanding bevel that flares at the lug ends and thins out at the mid case. All of the polishing here done via Grand Seiko's famed tin plate Zaratsu finish, a hand finishing technique that requires 3 years to master, holding the surface to be polished to create a mirror surface against a spinning tin plate. Although the machines that are used are of European origin, the foremost practitioners of this art today are the folks in Japan at Grand Seiko. Now we have a bezel that's stepped in from the case band. You can see how this visually thins the watch a little bit. Its outer face is conical, steep and polished, and then the top is flat and vertically satinated. You can see there's a little bit of a box section to the sapphire. We have an off-centered, somewhat recessed and guarded crown to make this an ambidextrous watch. The crown is a screw down, and you can see from the reverse of the watch that this one is 200 meters water resistant, so very, very resilient, very water resistant. Also 40,000 ampere per meter anti-magnetic. Remember, 1000 Gauss is approximately 80,000 ampere per meter, so this is about 1/2 Gauss. You can also see that we have this lovely matte white dial with beautifully hand-finished indices, logo, and yes, the hand center. Grand Seiko dials are laboriously handcrafted, just as the exterior is handcrafted by Zaratsu polish. These little components on the dial are finished using diamond-tipped micro-milling tools by artisans who focus only on these little components. You can see how the faceting is achieved, a combination of satin and mirror-polished razor-like edges on the hands with the same level of detailing on the indices themselves. Everything is then caulked and placed manually on the dial, so not just hand-finished parts, but handcrafted dial too. Now you can see there are a couple of different sectors. We have orange, and black, comprising the 4 quarters of the 360 degree. We have a lovely red varnished seconds hand, and you can see that it is jumping with alacrity. This is the 9F61 caliber. The 9F family, super accurate 10 seconds per year, among the most accurate timepieces ever made that don't actually receive a signal from a radio or an atomic clock. This is exacting. The movement is hand assembled, hand tuned, and when the time comes, it goes back to the Grand Seiko watchmaker. It is refurbished and sent back. It is a lifetime movement. Not just the lifetime of the owner, but the potential multi-lifetime heirloom resilience of the watch, which may be you, your kids, and your grandkids. This is lifetime luxury quartz in here. Now we'll screw the crown out, and we do have a hacking seconds function to stop the seconds hand. Battery life is 3 to 4 years. We have a thermal compensation circuit, which means even in temperature extremes, this watch is going to continue to keep very good time. And that's important because it's a rare thing to find a thermocompensated quartz. Even some very high-end quartz watches like the original Omega X33 were not thermocompensated. So that is an important feature to have here. Of course, it's a 9-jewel movement. There's a lot of traditional watchmaking in terms of jewels and pivots and wheels inside of these calibers. There's also a quartz trimmer, which allows the watchmaker to adjust for the decades-long process of quartz drift. The idea being this movement will last decades, so you can compensate for the drift of the crystal to always return it to good timekeeping during a service. The movement receives special shielding to give it an extraordinary amount of anti-magnetism. Remember, to be an ISO 764 anti-magnetic watch, a watch needs to be hardened against 4,800 ampere per meter. This is 40,000, so quite a bit more. The watch is also quite well loomed. We'll do a loom shot here so you can get a sense of the watch in the dark. No problem reading it. You can see the hands as well as the indices at the quarters are green to make it easy to get your bearings in the dark. Lots to love about this watch, both inside and out. A handcrafted watch rarely seen outside of the Japanese domestic market. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.